country. Hello, namaskar. Welcome to my pod, the CAA Show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis. My name is Juggi Bhasin. To become a subscriber, all you have to do is to press that red button on your screen. Subscription is, of course, completely free. Would also really appreciate if you could like this video and share this video with your friends. All right. So when I turn the pages of a newspaper, or I am looking at a news report on television, or I'm listening to a podcast, everywhere, there's only talk of H1B workers, as if these 3 lakh H1B workers, and that was a number which went in 2024 to the United States, as if these 3 lakh workers or their fate or their destinies or whatever problems they are going through is actually far more important than what's happening to 1.4 billion people in India. The debate is completely skewed, it is lopsided. I am arguing in this podcast and I'm taking a totally contrary position to what other podcasters are doing, what other media personnel are doing, what other news reports are doing, that the H1B people are highly talented people. These are very skillful people. They can take care of themselves. We don't have to worry our heads about them. And if we are worrying our heads about them, or if they want us to worry our heads about them, then they are behaving like entitled people. They should not behave like entitled people that who have gone to the US, and so therefore whatever is happening to them rather should be our greatest concern. I'm going to argue all these points in today's podcast, but the short point which I'm really making is that there are many other things this country has to worry about. The least of all, I think, should be the H1B. Yes, certainly with all these new rules which the US administration is bringing in, some of the remittances could be affected. Some of these people would have to relocate, or certainly, as some people are even arguing, that the MBA program in US universities is like a dead duck program. Not too many Indians will actually be applying there after that. All that is a possibility. All that can happen, but that's in the future. But right now, I'm saying is that we need to hold our horses. We need to let these kids, let them actually fend on their own. There's nothing wrong with it. They are tough, resilient kids. They are talented kids. They will not have any job opportunity problems anywhere in the world. And therefore, we need to stop this debate. But there are also a lot of reasons why I'm saying that we should stop, trying to make these workers as entitled workers, that since they have gone to America, therefore they deserve everything what should be coming to them. At the end of the day, America is a sovereign country like India is a sovereign country, and it has every right to take its decisions, good or bad. If this decision is bad, or if the restrictions they are putting, or if they want to actually finish off the H1B program, good luck to them. It's their problem. If it backfires on them, then they will face the music. Fine, great. But why are we completely going crazy in our country on the H1B program as if, heavens have fallen? And I think the opposition in our country also has joined in. This is a failure of the government or whatever. It is nothing of that sort. These are sovereign decisions of countries, and there are reasons why these things are happening. But yes, I will grant the fact that it is a very interesting, it's a very complex issue. And in very simple terms, today I will try in this podcast to bring out all the complexity of this particular issue and why we should be a little more sang-froid, we are a little more relaxed as it is, about this entire issue. This will settle down. These kids will take care of themselves. They are among the brightest. These 3 lakh kids are among the brightest in the country. No question about it. They will take care of themselves. But we should not be going into a tizzy of them. There are a lot of other things to worry about. That's the first part. Now, there are 3 big reasons which I am giving in this podcast that why, they should, or rather we should not allow these kids to start behaving like entitled kids. That's just because you've gone to America. Therefore, America is bound to treat you very, very well. It's their right, whatever they want to do. The first big reason is this: you are at the end of the day in a host country. You are in a country which is not your country. It's a different country. Even though we share democratic values, we have so much in common with America. I agree with all those points. But at the end of the day, it's a different society. It's a different country. Their priorities, their prerogatives are different as compared to us. Now, the fact of the matter is, we need to accept the single biggest point which I want to make out here is that, honestly, as far as this H1B debate is concerned, barring a few podcasters in America or maybe some voices here and there, I think there is a US congressman called Beria who has spoken up against the administration and maybe a couple of other voices. But by and large, please notice, no one has spoken for these Indian students, or these Indian workers on H1B. Nobody has criticized the administration's program to curtail this program or impose this $100,000 whatever you want to call it, penalty fee, whatever, which kicks in from next year. Nobody has spoken against it. And the point which I'm arguing is that nobody from the left or the right in America, nobody from both the Democratic side and from the Republican side, nobody even from the Indian Americans, there are a substantial number of Indian Americans in America, has spoken out against what's happening to H1B. Or the decisions which have been taken by this administration. As I said, good or bad, we'll argue about that a little later. But nobody has spoken, so which means there is a bipartisan support for kind of, if not scrapping, but curtailing the H1B in America. If that is what America thinks, well, they have every right to think like that. Why are we getting so churlish? Why are we getting so peeved? Why are we, completely saying as if at the end of the earth, our kids are going to suffer, and all those stories which are coming out day in and day out? Relax. So that's our first point. The second point is, as I said earlier, even if America is making a mistake, and they could be making a mistake, we will know that in the next few months. But this talk, and there is a lot of talk in India, by the way. Revenge is a dish best served cold. The point of the revenge being that once the H1B workers go from America, maybe some of the work is outsourced to India. If it is not outsourced, then they try and start employing their own people, the American people, to fill in these jobs. But they might not get those people, or the people are not qualified, they're not well trained, or etc., and the companies will suffer. I mean, that's the logic which a lot of people are advancing. Why are we getting into that? It's their mistake. If it's a mistake, it's their problem. They will sort it out. Why are we going batty over it? I mean, I am listening to podcast after podcast after podcast that America will go through this. They will be wringing their hands, but it'll be too late. The Indians would have moved on. And we have started behaving like a B-grade Bollywood film, that we have to show it to them. It's nothing of that sort. These are sovereign decisions. Might be some thinking behind it. Let's not rate everybody who's taking decisions out there as idiots or something. There could be logic. And by the way, I have to clarify one thing out here. I'm not saying this in defense of what the Americans are doing. Not at all. That I'm just taking a very neutral position that we need to be sanguine, sang-froid. We need to be calm about the whole thing. We are just showing our stupidity, and this we are jumping up and down for no real reason. So as I said, the second point, if it's America's is making a mistake, it's their mistake. They have every right. They are entitled to make that mistake. Why should it be our concern? That's the second point. Now, the third point, which I have repeated again, I'm repeating, this is a very important point. I get the feeling it's bipartisan support for this decision. And I'll tell you what it means. It means this, that certainly from the Republican side, there is unanimity, and you can call it MAGA, you can call it the hardliners and MAGA, whatever. That's not the important thing. But there is this people like Steve Bannon and others have been advocating a scrapping of the H1B program and all that for quite some time. So it's been going on. Laura Luma and all these other influencers. We know that. But here's the thing. Once these decisions are taken, I don't think so they will be revoked back so easily as some people think that, American companies will suffer, they will all come to their senses without Indian tech support and all that. Silicon Valley is made up of a lot of Indians who have given invaluable contribution. All that could be true. I'm not a techie, so I don't know the inner details, but that could be true. But that's not the point. The point is, once a country takes decisions like this, they don't easily go back or they own up. They say, "Oh, we made a mistake. Sorry. So please come back. We are laying the red carpet for you again, and it's back to status quo. It's back to the earlier thing." It will never happen. I promise you. It will never ever happen. No country likes to admit that if they have made a mistake, then they will admit to that mistake. It's never going to happen. That's the first part of it. Number two, please understand what is really happening in the US right now. More than anything else, migration is a very big issue in the US, both illegal migration as well as legal migration. Obviously, they have cracked down on illegal migration, as we all know. Hundreds of people, thousands of people have been sent back, or they are in detention camps in South American countries and all that. We know about that. But they're not very positively tuned in also to legal migration also. And honestly, if you ask me, this administration came to power on the backs of the vote, which was actually against migration as a whole. So they are doing nothing else but actually fulfilling their agenda. So understand it from their point of view also. So that's the first part of it. Number two, tomorrow, even after, let's say, 4 years, the Democrats come to power. Do you think the Democrats are going to rewind and scrap all these changes which have been brought by this administration? I really don't think so, because the Democrats have also seen that they lost the Biden election more or less primarily on this major issue of migration. And I don't think so they will be in a hurry to bring back, if the H1B completely goes out of the window, that program back. So it's not going to happen. I have a feeling, I could be wrong about this, I could be proven wrong, but I have a feeling that this is an irreversible change. The H1 days are numbered. It's actually finito. It's almost coming to an end. What's really going to happen is, as I've already indicated, they will, of course, would like people of extremely high skills. I mean, the techies, and nobody's saying that the techies are this is body shopping or anything of that sort. There are good techies and all that. If you work for a company like Microsoft or Amazon or whatever, you have to be good, no question about it. But the fact is, they would only probably require the extremely, extremely high skilled people in the technological field, artificial intelligence field, certainly in the medical field, doctors, maybe even nurses also. That's their requirement. Fine, that will happen. I don't think so. Because the 3 lakh workers are made up of all kinds of professionals. There are technologists, there are finance people, there are people who have done there are kids who have done their MBAs who have got into good jobs there. So there are all kinds of people, but they might just go for maybe 5% of their entire lot of highly skilled workers. That's what's really going to happen. And the last point, this is a very important point, which again, I don't know why we are not talking about us. Forget America. Even the Indian government is a little sanguine about the whole issue. What do I mean by that? They're not particularly bothered. They're not ruffled by these announcements of 100,000 and all these curtailment of H1B, and other things could also be coming in H1B, which might be detrimental to the H1B program. But the Indian government hasn't frankly batted an eyelid. Yes, they made a statement, humanitarian reasons and all that, but that's a wishy-washy, neither here, neither there, kind of a very neutral statement. They haven't shown their opposition to the program, and there are good reasons for that. And I will explain that as I proceed in this podcast. So these are the 4 big reasons which I'm giving you why this change is irreversible. It's not going to go back to status quo. No way. And the better we accept it, move on, take it in our stride, and stop behaving like entitled people that yes, we have gone to America, now we have every right to be there, we have to settle down there and all that. Stop all that. There's no need for all that. That is not the need of the hour. And this is not taking some American position. This is totally an Indian position, which I am talking about. Now, I'll give you now three other big reasons that what's going on in this, things which are going on with this program which warrant our attention, which we should be looking at, which we need to take a note of. Now, there is a particular problem from our side, and I'm going to be a little frank about it. If some people get upset about it, let them get upset, but I will be frank about it. Now, there are 3 lakh Indian workers on the H1B program as of last year statistics. I'm certainly not saying all 3 lakh people, but there is a certain section of these 3 lakh people, kids, professionals, workers, students, whatever you want to call them. Their parents, unfortunately, have brought up their kids, these kids which I'm talking about, by inculcating in them the belief that yes, we are living in India, but India is a, bekar, kuch nahi hai yahan par. You need to study hard, you need to get good grades, you need to get into good universities so you can do your undergraduate program, or you can do your master's program, or you can do your MBA, or you can do whatever else from America. And from there, you get into OPT and you get into the H1B program, which means you are employed by American companies. And from there onwards, the green card route, and then you become a citizen of America. And then once you become a citizen of America, not only you are calling us every year, but then we also then migrate from India to America and settle down with you as American citizen. I'm telling you the truth. This is the truth. It's a truth which is hard to digest, but this is the truth. We have these kind of people amidst us as part of this H1B program, which have, right from the time when their kids are growing up, these kids have been inculcated with this particular thing. India is a bekar, kuch nahi hai yahan par. यहाँ कुछ नहीं मिलेगा तुम्हें. The politicians are fighting, the roads are bad, there are potholes, the air is bad, the water is bad, there's no infrastructure, there is nothing out here. Study karo and just get out of this country. This is the problem. And therefore, the question is that should we be devoting so much of mind space to this entire lot? That's the question we first need to answer. And that certainly doesn't mean that all these 3 lakh workers are of the same mindset. But I'm saying there is a certain percentage of them which certainly are. That's the first point we need to remember. The other part which I mentioned earlier also was about the Indian Americans part, because the Indian Americans are exactly also not jumping in and coming to your rescue, or their voices are being heard, because yes, there are all these things. When our Prime Minister goes, then hundreds and thousands of them flock into stadiums to listen to him, they cheer him, all that is good. And there are, of course, these Indian American societies which are doing great work. There are these religious societies which are doing great. All that is fine, wonderful. But at the end of the day, the Indian American who has been settled there for a number of years now, they are Americans first and Indians later. We forget that. Their loyalties are towards America, not so much to India. And right now, I haven't heard a single one of them, of all these great leaders out there, who has come out in support of, or rather who has raised their, or rather who have been raising their voices against what the American administration is doing. And that is why you find that the Sundar Pichais of the world, the Satya Nadellas of the world have kept their mouth shut. It's not as people think, it's out of fear. Maybe it's a little bit of fear, maybe, but I don't think so. That's the issue. The simple issue which we can't grasp in our heads in India is that these people are Americans and Indians later. They have almost like American values. Yes, they have some Indian traditional, some kind of cultural, and the second, third generation kids, they actually know nothing about India except maybe Bollywood and cricket and all those things. They are not so much seeped into all this. They think like Americans first. And please remember another thing. Indian Americans are also very apprehensive of the Indians who are applying on H1B and who are coming from India, because they know that they are competition to them directly to get into the best American universities. And so there's rivalry out here. And please, third point, also remember that if a person of certain ethnicity, of a certain background, of a certain from a certain country is already there, that person, once that person settles down in that country, it's a human instinct will try and block people coming from that same country. Okay, unless of course you are a hardened, let's say, with a certain Islamist kind of mindset or something, you want to people come over from a point of view of a religious fervor and all that. That's a different matter altogether. But otherwise, a lot of people will say, "Haan, hum to pahunch gaye. Now I don't want many of my own lot coming from that country. Let them stay away." This is the mentality. Please understand what you are grappling over there. So yes, at one level, I think we should be happy. We should be even be grateful that a lot of these Indian Americans who are there, they are sending remittances from there back home. They're investing in the Indian stock market. So they keep coming back and forth. That's fine. That's all fine. But to assume automatically that the Satya Nadellas and the Sundar Pichais of the world, the Khoslas of the world, all these tech CEOs and giants who are there, that they will immediately come to your rescue. They will speak up to the American president and to the administration in America. Why are you doing this? H1B is so important for the country and all that. This is all rubbish. Nothing of that sort is going to happen except realities. They are American first and Indians later. So we need to accept this big change which is occurring. That's the first part. Then the other problem which we always have is that we as a people, how do I put it? We don't have this nimbleness and flexibility in our mind. Please understand what's happening in the world. The world is becoming a very transactional place. Okay? And by and large, I still feel we are a very emotional people. So what happens is when we go to another country, we go to that country for keeps. Oh, I want to settle down. I want to go to New Zealand because I want to settle down in New Zealand. I want to go to America because I want to settle down in America. I want to go to the United Kingdom because I want to settle down in United Kingdoms. Arey bhai, why can't you go to these countries to maybe, let's say, work for 5 years or something, make some good money, and then make your tracks back to India? Or you could go to, let's say, another country. You could go to the Middle East. You could even go to China. You could go anywhere. We don't have that flexibility in our mind. We just, unfortunately, and I think that's our parenting problem, which really, that's how the parents teach the kids. No, 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 go there because you need to settle down there. And once beta you have settled down there, beti you have settled down there, then you call us, we will also come to America. I mean, this is stupidity, and that is why we run into problems. Be transactional, be where, there's a very old line, but I'm going to use that line here. Be where you are celebrated and not where you are tolerated. You need to go where you are celebrated, where your talents are in demand, where your skill sets are in demand, where people want you, they're willing to pay top dollar, top euro, or top whatever, or even the Chinese yuan for you. Go there. That's the idea. Not you going for keeps. I would still recommend to all these people, home should actually still be India. Despite all the problems, and let me talk a little bit about India. Yeah, sure. We still have the potholes. Sure. We still have the corruption. You need to get, we keep talking of single window clearances, but we all know that when you want to set up a project in India, you want to start a project, you want to set up a factory, you want to set up a MSME unit and all that, you need to, you end up by paying bribes. We know all those problems are still there. But despite that, can anyone give me a different view that the country hasn't moved forward, that progress hasn't been made, infrastructure hasn't come up? We are becoming a military, if not a superpower, but a great power. We are the UPI system, the digital economy, all that is not real. All that is real. Real progress is happening in front of us. And if you are an educated person, if you are a person of a highly skilled worker, if you have a talent, uh, let's say, as I said, you spend 5 years abroad, you earn a good amount of money, not a bit, but a good amount of money. You come back, buy an apartment in one of these condominiums in Gurgaon and Bangalore and all these other cities. And they're even there in Ghaziabad, they're everywhere now. Go to a condominium, see the life in a condominium. It's fantastic life. It's first world life. You are inside a condominium. You feel like you could be anywhere in the world. Yeah, sure, the roads outside are potholed, and during when monsoons come, they get flooded and all that. But yeah, sure, you live with it. Okay, great. But you still get the best facilities. You still today in India, we are lucky that we get house helps. Go there in America. I think even Bill Gates actually would be washing his own dishes at night in America. That's America for you. You get your drivers, you have support staff, you have all the facilities in the world. It's a great life. So I'm saying that yes, India has still a lot of problems, is still a lot of catching up to do, still a lot of reforms, both labor reforms, both agricultural reforms, both judicial reforms, legal reforms, all kind of reforms are still needed in India. But despite all that, India is on the move. And that is why, and that's the amazing thing, I've never seen that in my life. In the last few months, India has been the news all over, especially the Western world, whether it is negative or positive or whatever, but India is always in the news. That's because the world knows that the potential and how you are realizing, maybe you haven't fully realized your potential, like maybe China has. Agreed. I agree on that. But the fact of the matter is, everybody knows that not only are the fastest growing economy, but there's so much of potential now in India. This is the country of the future. So I'm saying to all these talented youngsters, all the H1B holders, and all these skeptical parents, especially who send their kids abroad, guys, home should still be India. Kaam karo, bahar karo, paise banao, come back. That's the idea. So, yes, if America doesn't work out for you, H1B, there are hundreds of other places to go all over the globe. You are in demand. China has opened up a special H1B kind of a program. Primarily, a lot of people, I don't know if you know about this, to attract these Indian techies. China wants them. Please come. You know, the Middle East always wanted them. They still want them. Dubai and all these places. Britain now has wants them. They have also liberalized that they are starting a scheme. The Scandinavian countries want it. All kinds of countries want it. There is no dearth of people who want your talent, but I'm saying this again and again, go for a short time, or if nothing else, have the nimbleness, have the flexibility. You work in a place, then move on from that place to go to other places. That's all. Then come back to home. That's the idea. That's the way it should be. That's the second part of it. Then the other important thing we need to keep in mind is understand the country you're going to. This is very, very important. This is very, very critical. I won't go into detail because this might call for a full length podcast. But what's happening in America right now, and I don't want to get into this name or that name. That's not important. But America today is not the America of old, where let's say 20 years back people went, or even 10 years, 15 years back people. America is a country in transition. America is changing. And it was bound to happen. I mean, somebody argues that, oh, no, 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 you have this kind of a government administration. I'm sorry, I don't agree with all that. America is a society in transition, and there is even more than India, there's a degree of polarization in the society out there. There are a lot of changes which are happening in America, and let's wait and see what these changes yield. We have just come out from the age of wokeism in America to certainly a right-wing kind of an atmosphere in America, no question about it. But I'm saying all this is now in a state of transition. All this is changing. And sometimes the administration, which we don't realize, is actually only amplifying the changes which are happening in society. So we can keep on belaboring the point that the tech companies, it was so good, people used to go there, settle down. That is all changing now. And when a society is changing, let me give the example of Europe also, then I'll make my point here. In Europe, what's happening also is Europe is obviously the old world, but even in the old world, there are so many different problems now. That migration problem is a huge problem in Europe. Low productivity, the energy crisis, they're battling for energy needs. The Russia-Ukraine wars are hovering over their head. They can't find a way out of this entire impasse. All kinds of problems are there in Europe. Now, when these societies, overall, let's say that the entire Western society is in a state of flux, is in a state of transition, it's changing. The times, as Bob Dylan used to say, the times they are changing. When times they are changing, is that the right time for the skilled worker, especially from India, to go there and settle down there? That's a question which I'm asking. You do that settling down thing when societies are a little more calm and things have settled down, not when there is turbulence in societies. Because what happens is when you go at a time like this, when there's so much of turbulence in society, and I will grant that we Indians are among the best of the best when it comes to brain power, when it comes to our skills, our talents, whether in the technology field or in the fields of medicine, surgery, even nurse care. We are the best of the best. Even the Indian unskilled worker, the construction worker, all these people who go to the Middle East, they're also very, very good. They don't make trouble out there like other nationalities. They are disciplined. They're basically going there to earn well, to raise the standards of the living of their families. So the Indian, by and large, is a very disciplined worker. And what happens is, because the net result of that, those Indians who settle down in these countries, they have a very high standard of living. And as all of you know, in America, amongst the non-whites, Indians are the highest bracket, even more than the Jews in America. And so I'm suspect it's all the same case is in Europe also. Now, when a society is in transition and you are among the highest category, well-paid community in these countries, do you think the societies of these countries are going to look at you with favor? That's a question which I'm asking. Yes, the discerning will look at you with favor. The discerning will say, yes, we welcome Indians because we know how much they are contributing to our society, how much they're contributing to our development. But the ordinary people will be easily said, oh, these people are coming and taking our jobs. They are earning so much at our expense. That will be the natural reaction of all such people. So the question which I am putting forward is this the time when you have chosen to go and settle in all these Western societies? This is not the time. That's the short point which I am making. And then finally, I'll like to conclude this podcast by making the point that instead of being entitled, instead of this thing that, I have to go and settle down only because I have to escape from India. You're not escaping from, like, there's a movie called Escape from the Taliban. You're not escaping from India, and that's it. India is a great place now to be in. If you have the money, if you have the resources, or if you are proud of your country, it's a great place to be in. But even if you have to go, then go and be, and the buzzword today is be transactional. Don't go there for keeps. Don't go there for settling down. That era is, I think it's over. It's gone. It's finished now. Okay? Go there for a short time, for a maybe long, or whatever number of years you want to spend there. Make your money, come back, or go to other countries. Have that nimbleness in your mind. Have the flexibility in your system that you can travel from one country to the other, and then finally you come back and settle back in India. That should be the way to go. And then all these useless debates which you are having about, oh, we have been betrayed, this has happened to our H1B, this chest beating, not thumping, chest beating which is happening in India almost on an hourly basis, I would say, all that needs to stop. We need to face to the realities of what's happening in the rest of the world, especially in Western societies. Once we understand that, then we realize then instead of all the time criticizing them, we need to also look inwards and see what our priorities are, what we should be doing in a time of change. Because the times, and I'm repeating it again, as Bob Dylan said, the times they are a changing. And on this note, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.